Brightspace is the LMS that helps you reach every learner. It makes teaching and learning easier by letting you focus on what's most important, your students and their experience. You can start building courses quickly by simply dragging and dropping content into them. And even create content right in the system, like adding images or videos with just a few clicks. The responsive interface looks great on a laptop, tablet, or smartphone, and it works on any device. Brightspace also lets you teach the way you want. Built-in communication tools let you create a connected learning experience with homepage news feeds, online discussions, and web conferencing. And whether you're fully online, blended, or flipped, Brightspace lets you use lots of different pedagogical approaches, like competency-based education and gamification. It helps you work smarter too. Built-in analytics lets you quickly check on how everyone in the class is doing. You can also dive deeper to review individual performance in more detail. And with smart rules and smart tools, you can automatically trigger activities based upon what a student does or doesn't do to personalize their learning experience. Easy, flexible, smart. That's Brightspace.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vikas Pota. I'm the founder and CEO of T4 Education. You know, I'm so excited actually to be able to actually bring you my next guest to this conversation. You know, this format, T4tv, we use to bring quite incredible and prolific people from around the world who have something to say, quite interesting to say about education. And so today is no exception in that we're going to be focusing on a region of the world, which is the Middle East. But more importantly, as someone who has previously said that I'm a professional conference goer, I'm quite excited that GESS Dubai, which is a humongous education conference and exhibition that takes place next week. Actually, we have the event director, Jonnie Wicks, joining us from the organization. Jonnie, welcome to this conversation. You're the event director for GESS Dubai. And, you know, the thing that I'm very excited about is that you're the first large education, in-person education conference and exhibition since the pandemic began. How does that feel?
Well, we're extremely excited, and thank you for having me on, Vikas. I think that I think as we've spoken before, we were very lucky with our 2020 event because we ran it just at the end of February, just before the whole world kind of went into a state of lockdown and everything that has now happened has happened. And obviously we're now having the opportunity to be the first large kind of in-person event for education to happen since then as well. So we're very excited, and I think there's going to be a lot to discuss over the 3 days at the show.
Tell us, what does the GESS stand for? For those that don't know the event yet and are in different parts of the world who haven't been to it, what does it mean? And what do you represent and what do you symbolize as an event?
Yeah, of course. Very good question. So GESS stands for Global Educational Supplies and Solutions. The show itself has been running for this is its 14th year. And really what we try and do is we provide a neutral platform to bring the whole spectrum of education together. So whether it be from the government, from the private schools, from the education suppliers, bring them together so they have a platform to discuss, to network, really just to find out what's happening in education. And I think, that's the best way that we can help develop the sector and industry, is getting everyone to talk.
Fantastic. And I mean, the real question that we come to is, this event itself, it takes place in the MENA region, Middle East and North African region. That's your focus for the event, but you do get guests from around the world. So I was just telling Jonnie before this interview started that I've had 5 friends and people that I've come to know contact me saying they're going next week and they wanted to know what Dubai was like, who they should connect with. And I said to them that this is a great juncture actually in time as well as geography to actually go, because you get people from around the world. But tell us in terms of, why is this event important for education in the MENA region in specific?
Yeah, of course. As you touched on, we historically we've had visitors from over 87 different countries. So it brings people in not just from the Middle East, but we get a usually large delegations from Africa, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Asia as well. We get lots of people coming across from there to the event. I think it's important for the region and for the education sector, purely because what we do and provide is free to attend conferences that have best practice in there. We have an element of policy discussion as well, but realistically, our core is to be able to provide teachers and educators a place where that they can come and listen to global problems, global issues, global success stories, global kind of stories that haven't had a happy ending, because I think a lot of the time people like to talk about how successful things are, but actually, in education and in many other sectors, the best way to learn is actually to hear about the road bumps that people had along their way, along their journey, the issues they had, how they overcame them. And that's really what best practice is really about, is finding out the best way of doing stuff. But to do so, you have to kind of break a few eggs, work out, there'll always be a few things that go wrong along the way as well.
And so when you talk about global, I just want to show you like some friends who are watching. So Shams is in Bangladesh, she says hello. We have Chandra from Sri Lanka saying hello. We have Akil Dala from Tanzania and the UK saying hello. We have Kostia from Romania who says hello. Aster, it must be quite early in California, or late night rather. So thank you for joining us. We have Daniel from Nigeria, taking part. And so it goes on. Like, Bela, someone who is very well known in the education field. Welcome again, Bela. And so you have all these people coming, watching and participating in this broadcast. But your event itself, you say, is a microcosm of the world. The thing that the Middle East in particular is known for is, the state of private and international schools. I think there was a statistic that I did read that the number of private schools in the region really outnumbers the rest of the world put together. And how do you assess the state of that market?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question, and I think when you look at the market in the Middle East, it's thriving at the moment. Especially in the private school set area, and a lot of that is down to when you look at, I suppose, if you go into the UAE, of a population where they've got 10 million people. It's something like there's only maybe, I think it's about 88% are actually expatriates. So, there's a huge number of people that are coming into this country, and for them, they are looking for private schools. They're looking to educate, to get the best for their children. So to do that, they've got many different curriculums there. They've got, kind of English, German, Chinese. They've got all of the different curriculums there in different types of schools. And that creates such a great melting pot for the education world to then come together, which is why GESS is in the UAE, is because there is this need for understanding what's happening globally, not just within that country. It's just a very exciting time at the moment, because education is coming out of 18 months of flux, of not understanding kind of what was going to be happening next. It's starting to settle down a lot more, but there's been lots of amazing things that have come out of the pandemic the fact that we've learned that, virtual learning and, even things like this, the growth of people being able to interact online in this way has grown so much in the last 18 months. And it's the same within education, that we've learned that we can do it. It's not necessarily the best for education, but it is possible. And we can adapt very quickly to whatever happens, basically.
And so there's this question that I wanted to ask you, given that places like the UAE are highly technological in the sense that they've invested in infrastructure as well as in schools' capacity to do things. With online and virtual education, like I say, being so prominent, what have we learned about returning to school?
Yeah, I think that when we look at returning to school, I think what we found is that a large chunk of the issues we had when we were doing the virtual stuff was not the well-being side for the students, but also the teachers as well. When you're not seeing a student face to face on a daily basis, teachers can't assess how their state of mind is as easily as when they see them face to face. Because straight away when they walk into a classroom, they can assess how well they are, what's going on, if everything's okay. When you're just kind of getting snippets of them for 10, 15 minutes or, to half an hour on a video call, where you're also trying to monitor, 20 other faces on a screen, it becomes a lot trickier. I think that also the other side of it is the amount that schools have now invested in the digital side. So they've invested a lot in EdTech to make sure that they've got the right software, the right resources, so that they can run schools remotely. Obviously, now going back to physical education, they're going to have to now find other software or ways to integrate that into their physical in-person schooling. So I don't necessarily think there'll be an influx for schools to be going out there and buying lots of new EdTech. It will be the EdTech that they purchase now will be stuff that will help sync everything together from virtual to in-person education.
So Jonnie, you fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. In terms of you also have a number of key partnerships for the event. For example, with the Ministry of Education in the UAE. Do you want to say a little bit more as to what they bring for you in terms of these partnerships?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for us, when we're looking at show, as I said, we're a neutral platform, so we try and partner and work with as many kind of ministries and associations as possible. For us, obviously, a key partnership is with the Ministry of Education for the UAE. We've worked with them since day one for the last 14 years. For us, what they bring is that they bring us the knowledge and what they're looking to do locally within the UAE. So their direction, their drive, they help us with when we're trying to put together kind of conference themes and real kind of now kind of pinpoint certain areas we need to focus on when we're looking for speakers and topics. I think they also help us really understand about the culture as well. Especially in the UAE, the culture is as you spend a lot of time out there. It's very, everything is very, not, I wouldn't say old school, but it is in a certain way to us that kind of from elsewhere in the UK. They are very traditional, which I love. They have very kind of high morals about kind of, it's all about when you go to meetings in the UAE, it's more about becoming friends first of all before you talk about business. So it's finding out about your family and doing that kind of side before you get into the business. Whereas I think in kind of in the UK, in the US, when you're doing business schools, it's very much straight down to business. Let's not talk about kind of your personal life. Let's just talk about business. Whereas I think in the Middle East, it's still very much the way which I like to do it, which is talking about the person first of all.
And so, Jonnie, the event itself starts on Sunday. Who are the big names, the key speakers who are with you for those 2 days?
Yeah, of course. So we've got Peter Strovanov who's a global partner for Black. He's going to be talking. He's going to be kind of looking at the shaping the future of education and technology and talent, how they go hand in hand. We've got Mark East, who's the senior director for the Middle East from Microsoft, and he's going to be looking at a post-pandemic transformation, building back better, which should be a very good topic. One of the ones I'm very excited about listening to is a student called Yasmin Suleiman, and she is an NFT superstar. And she's going to be kind of having a fireside chat about kind of NFTs and the future of that world, which I think will be very exciting. She's kind of created lots of her own NFT artwork and stuff like that, which is obviously the next step going into the metaverse and all of this kind of new exciting topics that everyone will be probably wanting to talk about.
Well, fantastic, Jonnie. If someone wants to register and travel, and if you're watching this in the UAE, I'm sure you will know that GESS is taking part, next week. How do people log on, or how do they register? Is there a virtual program that those that want to participate can do with? Can you answer some of those questions?
Yeah, of course. Unfortunately, we won't have a virtual element for the show, but what we will try and do is we'll try and get as much content out there as possible for people. For the content itself, they can go to www.guesseducation.com. And if they want to come to the show and register, they can visit the actual show website, which is www.guessdubai.com. And from there, they can register and they can find out all about the program, the speakers, the companies we have there as well, if they're looking for new resources.
Well, fantastic. Jonnie, as I said to you, I'm a professional conference goer, and I very much have missed actually the physical contact and the serendipitous water cooler moments that you often get at events. And so I'm very excited for you and all those people that are attending your event from Sunday. I wish you the very best. And I hope that, after the event, you'll come back and tell us as to what shook out at the event and what the highlights were. But we look forward to following you online and wish every single delegate going to GESS Dubai next week absolute success, because I know it'll be a fantastic event. Thank you all very much. And Jonnie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Vikas, and thank you everyone for listening.